I just do this for a while until I know it, because there's no better way than just saying, "Hey guys."
How are you vlogging around other people? Is
Fine.
it?
Yeah. It doesn't bother me at all. Obviously.
You just pretend it's like another person you're talking to.
Yeah. Except that they're always at arm's reach. So this is a vlog. This is like an apology vlog for not doing anything for 2 months on YouTube, but also it's an introduction to the XH1, which I have been very kindly lent by Fuji to have a little play with, and so it's going to be my first thoughts, and then I literally go to turn the camera on to do the first bit of filming, and it wouldn't turn on, which is probably not a good start to a tech vlog essentially. But this is Greg.
Hello.
Hi Greg. This is my favourite walk that I go around near my house, so I thought I'd take Greg because he's not been here before, and hopefully we'll see some stuff, because Greg's a landscape photographer, and yeah, and I'm definitely not a landscape photographer, so I bought a vlogging camera and a 50mm lens with the XT-2. I'm filming on the XH1 and then shooting stills on the XT-2.
What's up, cows? Hey girl.
So we found a field. It's a big ass field. So I got the XH1 about a week and a half ago, something like that, and super excited. Like, I was really excited to get out with it and start shooting with it and start doing video. I'd heard a lot of things about like the grip, and obviously I'd heard about the 120 frames a second. I'd heard about obviously the stabilized sensor, which is great, so hopefully this isn't too shaky. I'm trying not to shake it too much. So I got it on the day that I got it. They did an update for the XT-2's firmware, which basically added all of the features that are on the XH1 that made it appealing, and just stuck them on their 2-year-old camera, which is brilliant for me. I've got two XT-2s, so but it did kind of dampen the excitement of the fact that, you know, all of a sudden now I can shoot 120 frames a second slow-mo. First impressions were it's very much like the XT-2 in the fact that it's kind of got the same features, apart from the what's it called? Stabilized sensor. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, so now it's got a stabilized sensor, which is great, and I'm seeing like really good results from that. I mean, I've been speaking to a few of my friends who are, you know, more learned about these things than me, and they're saying it's nowhere near the level of the GH5. You can practically run with that thing handheld, but it's still good. It's still, you know, it's progress, so that's cool. So yeah, first impressions are it's slightly bigger than the XT-2, which is a downer for some people. Where do we go now? Is this it? We're lost. That's a nice tree though, that is, isn't it, behind me? I like that. Let's go this way, shall we? So it's a little bit bigger than the XT-2. The grip's a bit bigger. That's kind of been like a sore point for a lot of the like hardcore Fuji guys who are like, you know, they're only shooting on Fuji because it's smaller and stuff, and I get that totally. I suppose the great thing is, like, in that respect, this camera isn't that much different to the XT-2, so keep your XT-2, don't worry about buying this because you're not really benefiting a great deal. Personally, I actually really like the grip. On both of my XT-2s, I actually put on a little metal hand grip. I think it's from a company called Meek. It's on Amazon, I've mentioned it before, and that just gives me a little bit more kind of on my ring finger and little finger, just to give it a little bit more grip. So it's kind of reminiscent of that for me anyway, and I kind of, you know, I like that way of holding it. So yeah, you can tell I haven't vlogged in 2 months because already my arm is aching. I can't believe that. So second big difference is we're missing the exposure compensation dial. Exposure comp dial, I just call it. I used to use that a lot more when I was shooting in more automatic modes like aperture priority. I don't anymore. I pretty much constantly shoot manual when I'm at a wedding and certainly in the studio. So I'm not missing it, but I don't understand why people would miss it. You know, if you're shooting aperture priority and you just want to rock that exposure comp dial, then yeah, it's a shame that that's gone. There is a button in its place, and you can use one of the kind of little scrolly wheels, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel as intuitive, you know. The other main difference, of course, is it's got that stabilized sensor, which is great. You know, it's great for, I can't see what many times that I would use that at a wedding or in the studio. It's great to have it there for sure. Like, I'd rather have it than not, but when it comes to video, it's brilliant. You know, it totally is. I'm more of a run and gun video shooter anyway. I mean, when I'm shooting with my vlogs, I'm like Joby Gorilla Pod, little mic on the top and running around like a nutter. So having a stabilized sensor as well as a stabilized lens is brilliant. So that's a great benefit to the XH1. But that's pretty much it. This is my first day shooting video on it today, so I'm going to shoot a little bit of B-roll. I'm going to use some of that sweet 120 frames a second, and as well as play around with some of the autofocus, because apparently the autofocus is a little bit better since the firmware update, and obviously on the XH1. But I've been shooting in the studio with the XH1 for about a week now, and it's a good camera. I am still trying to get used to the kind of soft shutter button. Like, it's fine, doesn't bother me at all, but I'm finding it's a little bit kind of vague. And also, and this is like a stupid point really, but when I get my I've got my X Pro 2s, I got my XT-2, what I really like to do is get those like little soft release buttons and like get different ones and stuff. I know it's silly, but I can't do that on the XH1 because it doesn't have that option unless you stick something on there. So it's kind of a bummer for me. I like messing with my cameras. So yeah, they're kind of my first impressions initially. It's great in the studio. The viewfinder is great. Screen's great, just as good as the XT-2 in my opinion. I've not noticed a huge difference in that. I don't mind the extra weight in the studio, but I have noticed it on my hip and around my neck when I'm shooting a wedding, because I shot a wedding. Yeah, I've shot one wedding with the XH1. I shot video on there, and I'll maybe include a little bit of that, but it wasn't my best work, to be honest. I did notice that it was quite heavy, so it's probably something you just get used to, but it's a thing. It's a thing that I noticed, and yeah, it was worth mentioning. Anyway, Greg's being really patient and just walking around in the background, so we probably ought to go and move on and shoot some stuff. So let's move on. Yeah, find a pub. Okay. That's enough now. But look how pretty this place is. Look. This is my little haven here. Beautiful. So yeah, that's enough. I'm so out of practice with vlogging that usually I've got like a structure and I know what I'm supposed to be doing and supposed to be saying, and this has all been ad-lib and probably doesn't make any sense, but I just wanted to get something out there at least, just so that you guys know that I haven't died or gone out of business or whatever. But first of all, it was really nice to hang out with Greg, who I haven't hung out with for a long time, and we're friends from college, which is, although we don't like to admit it, was 13 years ago. No? Is that 13 years ago? Shit. So yeah. We were friends. We've been friends since college, so literally 16. I went all the way through to university as well because we couldn't bear to be without each other, and all of the rest of our friends. So it was really nice to hang out with Greg. Although Greg, actually, to be fair, you haven't taken out your camera once today, have you? No. I don't know whether
just scouting.
Yeah, it's like a testament. Oh no, we didn't go through the thing.
We didn't
We didn't.
Shall we go through the thing?
Okay, I want to cut this here, and I'm going to cut it back to walking through the nice bit of forest that we've just bypassed. Okay, go. Okay, that's better. This was another excuse because I've just been putting it off, and I've been in the studio, I've been working, I've been shooting weddings and stuff, and I needed to put something out to talk about the XH1 because I've got to give it back on Monday. So I was hoping to do something really cool in the studio and set up lights, and I've got new backgrounds and new lights and stuff. I've got loads of stuff that I want to talk about, but I just keep putting it off. So I thought, if I don't get this camera out and actually start shooting with it, then nothing will ever get done. So this was like a first impression, I guess. Like this is the first time I've been shooting video with it, so at this stage I don't know, I haven't seen the footage, so I want to give it a little while and go through all that stuff and make sure that I'm happy with the footage and how everything's worked and autofocus and is the IBIS really worth it, stuff like that. So that's another video for another time, but for now it's just good to be back and taking videos, making pictures and doing fun stuff with Greg. It's good to be back. Leave me a comment below, give me a like, and and subscribe if you're feeling generous, and I will see you in the next video. Peace!